Hello and welcome to This Writing Life with me, Stuart White. This is episode 7, and today we're going to be focusing on the topic of success. Joining me today, we've got Florianne. Hi, Florianne.
Hi.
Nice to have you back. We had you on a few episodes ago, didn't we? And it's a rare capture of our social media and branding manager to come on and chat to us, but it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you. I feel like a celebrity guest who just hijacks every so often. No, I'm joking. Thank you for having me for an episode. Very excited.
And we've got the ever reliable Melissa, who seems to be like every time I message and say who wants to do the podcast this week, Melissa always says yes, please, I want to be part of it. So we've got Melissa with us as well today. Hi, Melissa.
Hey everyone. Yeah, no, I'm just really keen to. I just like mouthing off. So I'm always keen to come on the podcast. And we literally just before we started, guys, Stuart goes, "You know what the topic is, right, Melissa?" And I didn't actually straight away, but I was just so keen to come on. I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll work it out."
You like to give your opinions.
I do.
Yeah, and I think everyone likes to hear your opinions as well. So it's good to have.
Of course they do.
So it's good to have you both on. Yeah, me too. And it's good, obviously, to have more than just two voices as well. The three of us means that hopefully there'll be more room for contention and disagreement.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. We want problems,
cool.
not peace.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, chaos always.
Yeah. So as we always do at the start of the episode, I'm just going to ask how everyone's getting on with their writing. So Florianne, do you want to go first? How has your writing been recently?
Yeah, it's been good. I've started a new book. Very exciting, a young adult. And yeah, I was speaking to Stuart and Melissa about, like, I know my weakness is in plotting, or plotting before I start writing. So I was like, what do I do? Because you guys are really good at it. And I listened to another episode of this podcast series where Melissa was talking about that she's like a control enthusiast. I remember I love plotting. So I was like, okay, I'm going to ask them. And you guys, you told me about Save the Cat. So I've been reading that and doing all the beat sheets. And yeah, I'm a convert.
Nice.
Plotting and outlining is the way forward, and I'm so much less stressed than I usually am at this stage of coming up with ideas. And yeah, I've come up with loads of ideas just thanks to properly sitting down and outlining. So thank you guys, and everyone listening, please outline. It works so much. So thank you.
So what genre is this one?
So it's a young adult contemporary, and it's got thriller elements and also a sort of tropey best friends to lovers romance. So I'm very excited, and it's the first time I get to write it with an agent waiting for an outline from me, so it's even more exciting and also helps me to actually do it. Yeah, someone's expecting it.
Yeah, I don't think you've told everyone about that in the podcast. Do you want to just?
I don't know. I think you mentioned it on the Right and Wrong podcast, and it was like someone walking over my grave. You guys talked about it, and I was listening back. But yeah, so I signed with an agent, Darlie Anderson agent called Chloe, who's lovely, and I got to meet her a couple of weeks ago, face to face in London, which was really nice. And so yeah, we're working on my young adult, and there's another book out with publishers at the moment, so we'll see how that goes. But if that doesn't happen, then I've got another one, cooking. Yeah. So yeah, it's been really fun to work with her, and she's lovely. And yeah, it's just nice to have someone who's waiting for something. Gives me a bit of motivation, which has been a really fun part of it so far. So,
have you told her about it and sort of bounced about ideas?
Yeah, we had a chat on Zoom. We were meant to talk about it when we had our face-to-face meeting, but we talked about everything else but that. We talked about dogs and France and everything that we have a lot of shared interests like that. So yeah, we talked a lot about ourselves, and then we're like, oh, we've got to talk about the actual writing. So we had another call last week. Yeah, so we had a chat about it and got to come up with some really good ideas together. So yeah, very excited.
Oh, that's nice.
I know
it's
a podcast, but in the video you can see my smile. I'm very happy.
Yeah, it sounds like you get a nice relationship, which is I think what most people want when they sign with an agent.
I definitely think that was a huge part of it. Was just I think you have to be able to get on, and it's still a professional relationship, but yeah, it's just nice to also have like a personality click, and it helps because if you're similar personalities, you'll probably like similar books, and so that helps, I think. So the ideas are going to be similar, and yeah, so it's good.
Cool. And I imagine, like, to be honest, knowing you're pretty easygoing and easy to work with, so I can't imagine you would be a difficult client.
I hope so. If I'm listening to this, I hope I'm not difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm fine. Yeah, I'll write and I'll talk about dogs and stuff, like my favorite topic ever. It's going well. So, and also
good.
Thank you guys for helping with the outline idea. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
I can't actually remember helping, but yeah,
I'll take many Twitter conversations.
So memorable.
I just helped so many people. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'll take the thanks. So it's always nice. So Melissa, how are you getting on at the moment with your writing?
Yeah, good. That's not true. I'm doing copy edits. So if anyone's ever done copy edits, they are really, really useful. And the copy editor, everything they're writing, I'm like, that was a really good catch. I totally missed that. It's very small plot holes at copy edit stage, because it's the second to last stage before proofreading. But yeah, gosh, the stuff they catch, I'm like, oh, you got me, sir. You got me. And it's so difficult to find my way around. So yeah, I've been sort of wrestling with that, and it really warps like your brain. Like a lot of it, they sort of give you suggestions and say, would this work? And you're having to reread through quite a lot of text in order to check whether it works. And as per usual, everyone always thinks, oh, I have a favorite book. I've read it 10 times. I can't wait to meet this author and talk to them about the book. And of course they'll think, when did that come out? Which characters? Because obviously when we write them, and I think just also part of like mental health, protecting yourself, you write the book and then you kind of forget about it a little bit. You have to push it out of your head because you're doing other projects and you've got other books to focus on, and you can't have other characters like shouting at you from different books. So yeah, you have to really remind yourself. So that was that's been a little bit sticky, but I think I got through all the like major mini plot holes, if that's not an oxymoron, major mini, this morning. So I'm feeling okay about it again now. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing at the minute. And then I've sent off, for transparency, I've sent off pitches to my current publisher at Chicken House, and I'm waiting to hear back. So essentially what most publishers will do is they'll want some pictures from you, and then you send those off, and essentially they are literally like that. They're just a few lines. That's all they really want. And then they'll tell you, oh, maybe start to work towards this one. And they're not necessarily contracting you at that point, but they're sort of helping shape where they want you to go career wise. So yeah, I'm just waiting to hear back from that really. So yeah, once these copy edits are put to bed, which hopefully will be next week, fingers crossed, then I will feel a little bit freer. But yeah, that's what I'm doing at the minute, is just rehashing, it feels like.
Yeah, and I know having you shared the pitches with us actually, which was good of you before you sent them off, and they are all amazing.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with all of them. They are really good. They're really good.
It's that typical thing though. They'll definitely pick the one I have thought about the least. Like I actually genuinely do like all of them. My agent did that thing of, if you're asked for a certain number, you could be asked for 3. I know Stuart once was asked for 10 pitches for something. You could be asked for 20, you could be asked for 2, and there'll always be a couple that you're gravitating towards a little bit more, no matter how many you're asked to come up with. But to be fair, I sent them to my agent, and the first thing she said was, no, be honest, like which one is the one you actually want to write? But I said, no, I'd genuinely be happy to write any of them, but I did give her a sort of order of the ones I've thought about more. Being a plotter, obviously, there's one of them I haven't plotted at all, which terrifies me, but I've like been like, yeah, sure, roughly this direction. What do you think? So we'll see.
Yeah, and there's definitely, like when I was reading them, I can definitely see that there's one that is probably commercially like the strongest, the one that based on the market right now would be the one that I think they would probably go for. But then, from my own reader taste point of view, there's another one that I would rather that they went with as well. So
I feel really invested in one of them, and I really hope it's that one, because I actually really want to read it. Like I will be really annoyed if it isn't picked, because I actually just want to read that one. So
you can never guess though with these things. But to be fair, hopefully, fingers crossed, they would eventually. I can write all of them. Fingers crossed. Exactly. Not knowing what's going to happen. Gosh, this is depressing opening, actually. Let's get on to fun stuff. I'm just like, it's so boring doing copy edits, and I don't know if they're ever going to pick up another book. Hi, Chicken House. So yeah, let's get on to the fun bits of the podcast.
Yeah, so the theme of today's episode is success. It was actually Florianne that came up with the questions for this, which I tweeted out. When did I do that? Was it on Monday? I think it was. And it was asking things like, what do you think is the perfect formula to writing success? Is it talent, luck, timing, perseverance, etc.? What does it look like to you personally? Because obviously, that was something we chatted about ourselves, but obviously the goalposts are going to shift depending on where you are in your writing career and what it is you're hoping to achieve. And then lastly, I've said, does success equal happiness? Which is quite a bit of a deeper one, but sometimes the two don't necessarily equate. And sometimes the people without the success are happier and the people with the success are less happy. So we're going to dive into that, I think, in this episode. And we were quite lucky. Lots of people replied to this tweet. So we'll maybe start off just by reading through a few of them. And then we can use that as a way to sort of bounce off our own thoughts and opinions on the topic as well. So the first person to reply here was Lindsay Galvin, who we know well through Write Mentor. And she said, success for me is to make enough money from writing the books that are true to me, that I can keep doing the job that she loves. So financial and creative goals, she guesses, but that's because I've chosen full-time writing, and I'm actively hustling to make it happen. In the past, when I was a teacher and writing on the side, my goals were different. I wanted to write books that were true to me and have enough success publishing them that I could continue writing more and build a readership. So I guess what she's saying is it depends, I guess, where you are in your career. So when she had the financial stability of also teaching as well as writing, she could be more like true to herself with the books that she wrote. And she's saying now that she's full-time writing, that changes it a little bit. I don't know who wants. Do you want to start on that one, Melissa?
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, obviously, we're probably going to be talking a lot about how goalposts move as you get stuff published. So, I remember thinking, I was complaining about copy edits, right? And I remember hearing people complain about copy edits when I was still either looking for an agent or when I was agented and went on submission, because I was on submission for about 3 years with various projects before I got picked up. And I remember I always used to think, like, if I got picked up, I would not only do the copy edits, I would enjoy them. And these people don't know they're born. They have no idea. And of course, now I'm complaining I'm that person. I've become the very thing I hate. And I knew that would happen because it always happens, doesn't it? So it's interesting that she says that, like, the goalpost has slightly changed, especially since doing it full time. And I'm sort of full time, obviously work at Write Mentor, but it's writing adjacent. And in fact, stuff with Write Mentor helps directly my writing. I meet people through Write Mentor that I can ask questions to. They can ask me questions. We can help each other with various different aspects of like publishing and writing. And it's really good. So it's sort of writing adjacent, and it feels like I sort of am a full-time writer, and especially because it's we obviously all work from home. Sad to say, everyone, we don't film this in the same room at Write Mentor HQ in like a big skyscraper in the middle of Glasgow. That's not what's happening. We're all sat in our offices at home.
No, I've just got a tiny box room here in Glasgow, so. Yeah.
So glamorous writing. Yes, but I do think it's interesting that she's saying that the thing that stayed the same is she wants to write those books that are true to her, because that's definitely about finding the right partnership with. It's like Florianne was saying about with her agent, and she feels like, oh, I can bounce ideas with this person because they think the same as me and we're really similar and we get on. And I think sometimes if you sign with the wrong agent or the wrong publisher, or even anything in life, there's lots of different times in life where we feel like this isn't quite working for me. I feel like I'm going against a brick wall. Whereas if you have the correct supportive publisher, then you can write those stories. So I think that's a really good mark of success, because it's also something that I think some published authors maybe are still looking for, depending on who they're with.
Yeah, that's true. And I just to add on what you were saying there, I know people who have been writing stuff that they don't necessarily believe are the books that they believe in. There's a lot of like commissioned work and so on that goes on in the industry where people are commissioned to write from an outline and so on. And that's I guess that's what Lindsay's saying. She wants to write the books that she wants to write that have come from her, rather than just being a writer of books, which is a different thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I
do
agree.
you have anything to add, Florianne? Yeah.
I think also I was thinking also in terms of books you want to write. I do admire, like, I was thinking of Kira Millward Hargrave, who we've had for our keynote for Wowcon, that she seems to be able to write now. Okay, she's definitely a successful author. I think we can all agree on that. And she just seems to be able to write across like adult and children's and teens. And she's done like a sort of illustrative book in collaboration with her partner. And I just think like she is clearly living from an outsider's point of view, like living the life of someone who seems to be able to, I guess, write across loads of projects. And yeah, I think that's an interesting, like, to me, that would be a good success.
Do you think she views it as success though? And that's the important thing.
Exactly. I would know. It would be interesting if she considers that success, because to me that would be success for me, is to be able to write across different, genres and age groups. But again, goalposts change, don't they? Like she might be looking towards another. But it's interesting what Lindsay said, that she wants to write books, that she actually wants to write. And I do see that in kind of like more successful authors, that they might get that opportunity more often, maybe. But again, we don't know unless we're actually that person. And that's why it's a complicated topic. Because people have their different, goalposts of success.
Yeah. And there's a comment from Lydia Messiah. She's quoted Ross Montgomery, who's our keynote speaker at the WowCon just there. Yeah. And she said, every writer thinks that they're failing whatever stage they're at. Even if you're published and selling, you worry about not getting prizes or good reviews or huge sales. And she said that there was also something in the speech about celebrating early, however small the win.
Yeah, which can be tough, obviously, when you're in it. I know, like I was saying, like I used to complain even when agented. Oh, I'd love it if I could do some really boring copy edits. But then I was agented, and I'm sure other people were thinking, why are you complaining? I remember I went to, it was one of the Right Mentor things, actually. It was something we did live in 2020, and Melvin Burgess was there, and he was giving us feedback on our work. And he said to me at the time, because we had to like say a little bit about, like why we'd written it and blah, blah. And I was about to go out on submission. And so I had an agent, and he said, oh, well done getting this far. And I took it as a really bad thing. I was like, what do you mean getting this far? Do you mean I'm not going to get, what was there something inferred that he did not mean it like that. He did not. And I realized that now looking back. But at the time I was like, well, is this a hidden insult to say I will never get any further? And wow, well, congratulations, good luck next time. But no, that's not what he meant at all. Now I understand. He meant that you have to celebrate every single milestone, and not just, it's so easy to get to the next level and be like, okay, right, yep, now what's the next peak on the next mountain? And it's just, you don't really think about where you are.
Yeah, I think it also, it also is a lesson on not comparing ourselves with other people as writers, because as success means different things to different people. So I think you can aim for, you can be like, I would like to be like that author, or I'd like to be publishing in the way that author does. I think it's fair to have those ambitions, and that motivates everyone. But I also think, if you start comparing yourself, you don't celebrate those small wins, because you're like, oh, that person's just got an agent, but you might have just got a short story accepted by a magazine, which is an insane achievement, and that's amazing. Like, success is not comparable on that kind of
no, it's not
linear scale at all. No. So I think people need to learn a lesson in that, and I think it'll make someone more content with their writing journey, hopefully.
Yeah, I know that's a really good point. And I think that, sometimes people have an expectation, that you will go down a very linear and sequential path in publishing. And obviously it's not like that. I mean, it's kind of like it's like a tree, you've got lots of branches at the bottom, and lots of people get to those first set of branches. But then as you go up, fewer and fewer people are getting to the next set of branches, and the next set of branches, and the next. And so if you get to that first branch, you're still like, you've achieved something that the vast majority of people won't. And so I think that is so important to celebrate that, and not compare yourself to someone at the top of the tree already. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. Thanks for that, Lydia, for mentioning that. Here's a good one by Natalia. She says, I guess success should be defined by your goals. So if you finish writing a novel, you've been successful in your goal to write a novel. If you sign with an agent, you're successful if that was your goal. And same goes if you self-publish and sell the number of books that you were aiming to sell. So some good points there as well.
Yeah. I think as well, those goals can change as allow those goals to be a bit flexible, because I think especially seeing your self-publishing journey, Stuart, I guess your goals now probably look different to even a few months ago when you had you know, I know obviously you might still keep your mind open for stuff like traditional publishing, but I also think, yeah, like it's just amazing to see how your goals have shifted, but in such a successful way, because now you're on the self-publishing route and there's so many other opportunities that have opened up for you. And I think, yeah, like have goals in mind, but definitely like know that they're open to change. Like every day something could come up that changes them. So.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what kind of goals do you two have at the moment for your writing? Because obviously you're at slightly different stages in the process, and obviously at a different stage to what I am as well. So, Melissa, do you have any particular goals in mind just now?
Yeah, I do have one that I don't know if anyone else does this, but from being a small child, I wish on hay trucks driving past. No one else do this. Is this a countryside thing? Everyone's shaking their heads. Yeah. People will know who listen to the podcast. And if you know, like, come and tell me on Twitter, because you will know. And I haven't made it up, and my mum hasn't made it up. It's a real magical thing. And it's when a hay truck goes past and you make a wish. Don't know why. That's what you do. It's no weirder than, I suppose, blowing out some candles on your birthday, to be fair, but a bit more often. And I always wish for the same thing, which is an audiobook. And that is my current thing. And I do this quite a lot. I set myself... it's obviously an uncontrollable goal. So I say a small goal as if, oh yeah, I set myself something super achievable, but I do set myself these like smaller goals as I go, and they do change all the time. And so like that's one, or another one is seeing a book in a foreign language, my book in a foreign language. It doesn't actually matter what foreign language. I'm just interested. It doesn't even matter if they can't send me a copy. I just want to see like the title written in a foreign language and like not be able to read any of the pages and have no idea what's going on. I don't speak any languages because I'm useless. And yeah, so I have a couple of little things like that, because I know I can be really bad for the big goals of, you know, publish a book, and I just do not celebrate those enough. So yeah, I do have some small things. Like when I was with a smaller publisher, it was sell a book for an advance. And before I was with that publisher, it was hold the book in my hand, which we've talked about before. And of course, lots of these, as we were saying, can be achieved in different ways. You can self-publish and hold a book in your hand. You can, there's actually really good ways to do audiobooks now. No, Marisa Noel, who we know through Right Mentor, she's doing an audiobook. She's announced on her TikTok, and she's doing it herself with self-publishing. So there's obviously other ways to do these things, which I definitely think about. But yeah, those are like, I have some general goals like that, but they move all the time. Hay truck goals.
As someone grew up in London, I never saw a hay truck, so I never had that.
No wishes for you.
That would be weird. Like, all my neighbours be like, why is there a hay truck in the middle of North London?
And so what about you, Florianne? Do you have any, because obviously you're at a slightly different stage from Melissa, so are yours more like selling the book related, or?
Yeah, like I would say selling the book. And then I had a moment of reflection like this week, and I was like, that's a goal that's not in my hands anymore. Like I've written it now, It's done. Like I can't, like if I actually make that my goal, it will just torture me because it will just be like, it might not happen, and realistically it's not, I can't do anything about it now. So I would say the goal at the moment would be to finish this book, but also just to be really happy about it, and just to do it like because I just really like the idea. I'm very excited about it. It's something different to what I've done before. But I also, my first book I wrote was YA, and then I went through a load of middle grades because that was like the trend. And now it's back to YA. So I'm really excited because this is like the age group that I particularly like writing for. Not that I don't like writing middle grade. I do really love it, but I think because I started on young adult, I'm particularly excited about this one. So I would say, yeah, like on a controllable goal level, which will probably be better for my well-being, is to finish this book. I've got like a mental deadline in my head, and also NaNoWriMo is coming up, so that's a really good thing to like, you know, get the outline done this month, and then I can start writing properly in November and use that as a goalpost. So yeah, I'd say finish this book, which is a bit boring, isn't it? But it's not very exciting. But I prefer audio
so much more sensible.
Like that, but
yeah, it's a very sensible one.
It's too sensible, isn't it? Like you want something wild from me. I don't know, like but yeah, that's probably the sensible goal.
Yeah. I know, I was hoping someone would say something ridiculous like winning the Costa Prize, or actually that would be impossible now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's true. That is ridiculous. You know how ridiculous that is? You'd have to create the Costa Prize for yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. But I do like seeing the book in a foreign language. Yes. I do actually see why that, like, it would be so cool. It would be,
It
so
would be
cool. And,
really
like, just
cool,
to-
but
yeah.
it's not in my control, and that's why it's a hey truck goal, as I call
It's
it,
a hey
because
truck.
it's not in my control at all. That's why I'm wishing for it, because what I'm really thinking when I make that wish is I'm imagining all the other people in charge of the book, like the rights team and my agent and my edit, trying to sell that to another foreign language, and then that company in another country trying to pick up that. That's what I'm imagining in my head. It's nothing to do with me. And so I think what Natalia was saying about, you know, if you get this thing done and you get it done and it is your thing that you've achieved, that is maybe true success because you've achieved it on your own. Which is like with self-publishing or something like that. If you've achieved it on your own, if you finished the book, if you self-publish the book, that is really, really impressive and is its own type of success.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
I want to have hey truck goals a thing now. Like, I want to know everyone's hey truck goal on Twitter. Like, please tell us what's your like goal you can't control.
Yeah.
Hashtag hey truck goal.
I'm gonna move us on slightly because there's a really good reply here, which was I think a direct reply to the question you asked, Florianne, about what makes success. You know, what is the magic combination? And Becky Orwin has replied, I think writing success is a combination of talent, craft, practice, persistence, and luck. The percentages can vary, but you need to nail all of them. For her, success is a rolling concept, as we've kind of discussed, but ultimately I always wanted to make a living as a writer. Success does not equal happiness, but it does help.
Ooh.
That's tricky.
That's a lot of ingredients. I'd be very good at making that cake.
Yeah.
It does take. Yeah. I think that luck's an interesting one. I don't know what you guys think, but I don't know where I can never decide whether. I mean, partly, obviously, luck is a kind of thing you can't control. But also, to what extent can you make your own luck?
Yeah.
My dad always used to say that. I don't know if that was just to motivate me. Like, you can make your own luck, don't worry. But yeah, I always wonder what is luck as well. Like, that's a really hard one to define.
Yeah.
Like, is it like a magic fairy luck?
Yeah.
Or, you know.
And this is where, yeah, I was just going to pick up on that. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe you can make your own luck. I don't think it's like this thing, as you say, it's like a mystical, magical process. Luck, I think you can drive luck in your favour.
Yeah.
And you can certainly increase your chances of things by doing certain things, so that luck becomes less of a factor.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So yeah, it does exist, but I do think that you can put yourself in a position to benefit from luck.
Yeah.
More than if you don't do certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is why having this conversation has made me change my mind on what success is, because if you compare it to anything outside of writing, like as an example, if you compared it to if you really needed to lose weight to do something, there's someone I follow on TikTok and she really wanted to go on this particular ride at a theme park and she had to lose weight to meet the requirements to go on the ride, and that wasn't luck, that was 100% her. You can't argue it's anyone else than her losing the weight. And I know other people who and I know that obviously we're not talking about people who have diseases that make them put on weight, and we're not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about somebody who knows they can lose the weight and then chooses to do it. It's a bit different with writing, because if I know I can write a good book, I'm going to write it. If you go into self-publishing as well, then yeah, you can totally make it happen. And then the book's in your hands and it can be sold and it can be in shops and you've done it. You've done the thing. I guess with traditional publishing, it just creates this whole other concept of the word success, because it's other people deciding, and is success external? It's other people deciding. Even with this lady who wants to get on the roller coaster, like the roller coaster was kind of deciding her goal. And so I don't know, it's a really tricky one, because I think with writing, and a lot of people outside of writing, they do ask, oh, well, why are you not published yet? Because they don't realize it's kind of hard and there are other people involved and it's not just you. And I think sometimes people think because you write alone in your bedroom, it is just you.
Yeah.
And so that's where the luck bit comes in. And so even having this conversation is making me reevaluate. Maybe the success isn't to do with the stuff that's not to do with me. It should only be reliant on the stuff where I can control. And maybe like the hey truck goals are just hey truck goals and they're not success. Doesn't matter if I've got that.
Yeah. And just to pick up on that, and I think that you can just say, oh, it's just bad luck or whatever, but also everything you send to an agent is in your control.
Yeah.
Right. And you might not want to write the kind of book that they might want to take on and buy, but you're making a conscious choice not to write what's marketable or commercial at the moment, and
Right.
you're deciding to go with what your heart wants to write, and that's fine. People can do that, but you've made a choice there, and you've reduced the chance that you'll get picked up. So you're making the chance of getting picked up even more down to luck. Whereas, if you make different choices, you might have to rely on that level of subjectivity and luck and so on to a lesser extent. And I think also with traditional publishing, there's more of an element of that. Like what I'm doing, for example, at the moment, there's no luck involved.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I can literally put books into readers' hands. And yeah, I mean, whether they like it or not is down to their taste, but there's no luck involved in whether I get published. There's no luck involved in whether I can try and get the books into people's hands.
Yep.
The only thing that it comes down to is whether someone likes the book or not. And as you say, with all those other steps that are involved in traditional publishing, there is subjectivity. There's more scope for luck to play a part. And it's interesting because, we talk about what's in our control and what's not. I guess even if you do your very best work and people like it and so on, there are other factors that, you think about what distribution, you think about where a bookshop decides to place your book, you think about where supermarkets decide to place it, you think about the workload of the person who's supposed to be marketing your book at the publisher. If they are overwhelmed, you're maybe only going to get a couple of tweets or, rather than a full-on marketing campaign that other people are going to get. So there's definitely more variables. As a scientist, I prefer using the word variable than luck, I think.
And are you more successful? Arguably, now I'm thinking about it, self-publishing is more successful because there's less luck. So you're not relying on luck, you're just relying on yourself in a way.
Yeah, and
it's a higher
someone
success.
liking the book. Yeah. I mean, you need people to like the book, and then people to shout about it and so on. And obviously, the workload is definitely higher, but you are relying less on. And I guess, but that's the thing with traditional publishing, because people have got to fall in love with your book to then be the cheerleader for it.
Yeah.
And so basically that's what you're hoping for with traditional publishing, is that you can convince someone to fall in love with your book so much that they're willing to invest time and money into it.
Yeah.
Whereas I just have to do that myself.
Right.
You love your book already. It's easy.
Yeah. I love my book, and I need to invest all my time and my money into it.
Yeah.
But that's fine because that's 100% controllable.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's interesting. Sorry, I took over a wee bit there.
No.
No, you're also on the podcast, yeah. You just have to be asking the questions.
I know. I like to be a listener, though. I do like to be a listener because they do say that sometimes, like some days, some people spend their whole time listening to other people, waiting for an opportunity so they can speak and give their opinion. But actually, the truest set of skills that a listener should have is to be able to just sit and listen and not want to give their opinion. And so I've been trying to practice that on the podcast, but that got out of me there.
We love hearing your opinions, Stuart.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to another comment. A very popular one here from a friend of the show who always comments, Kezia Lupo, who obviously Melissa knows as she is her editor.
Yeah.
And you obviously you've met up and stuff in real life, haven't you?
We have. We're besties.
Besties.
That sounded sarcastic. We are actually besties.
So she says the trouble with success is the goalposts are always moving. As soon as you finish writing a book, you want an agent. As soon as you get an agent, you want a publisher.
Yep.
As soon as you get a deal, you want a bigger deal, etc. So you never feel successful. So it's one of those. It's like the old space unicorn. You're constantly chasing it, but you'll never get it.
So what's the point? Yeah. Give up now. Yeah.
Yeah.
True success is giving up.
Podcast. That's it. Give up. No, I was thinking about the goalpost changing, and I was also thinking how even when you have success, there can be this thing called imposter syndrome, which can then ruin the success and also change the goalpost. Because I was thinking, like, when I signed with Darley Anderson, and I suddenly actually felt like less of an author. than before. And it turns out, not now that I've settled into it and I'm fine. But I was just so like, I was like, oh my God, I've got this success that everyone wants. And I think I told you guys on our chat, because if I'm ever panicked about anything, I always come to you two, because you calm me down. But I was just like, I just don't feel like it I guess because it feels surreal, but also because suddenly you're like, now it feels like it matters even more, because I have to write and someone's got to like it. Not only an agent, but the publisher. And I'm like, am I good enough? Like, is this like, I don't know whether it's gonna, and then success feels more weighty. Because like before I was writing to get an agent, but if it didn't work out, then they felt like, oh, well, it's just on me. Like I can deal with it on my own. But now there's like expectations. So I think as well, like success can be a bit, like, not to sound ungrateful, I'm very happy, as you know. But I think there is there can be times as well, like, don't feel bad if when you get that success or that goalpost, like you reach it, like suddenly it just doesn't, it feels very overwhelming, or you don't, because imposter syndrome is very real. Yeah. And I did have a moment like, I actually was more confident prior to signing. And in the moments after, I had a bit of a confidence, like, a very weird, damaging confidence moment, which has recovered again now that it's settled. I've got into the process of doing it. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, so goalposts can change, but success can also not be what you expect it to feel like when it happens.
That's interesting. And Melissa, obviously, you have you've published your first book, and now you're about to publish your second book. And has that changed for you again? Like what Florianne was saying there. Do you feel like you thought you'd feel like at this stage?
I think there is a very real thing that I had with my last book, The Undying Tower, that happens about a week before publication. And you realize, even though it's been out, it goes out for proofreading and on NetGalley and all these other different things to get quotes and hopefully early reviews. But just about a week before it comes out, you suddenly think, the worst thing in the world is someone to read this. I can't think of anything worse in the whole world than somebody reading this. Like, I will die of embarrassment rather than someone read this book, which feels so ridiculous when it's a goal you've been chasing for such a long time. So yeah, I think you do definitely, and again, it feels heightened. It feels worse than when you sign with an agent and they send it to, say, publishers, because you get it a little bit then like, oh my God, industry professionals going to be reading this book. Like, is it even good enough? And you start to panic about it and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, when it goes out, it almost feels, industry professionals, forget them. Readers are the people that matter. They are terrifying. I know I'm a terrifying reader. Like, I will, everyone picks at things, and I want to be entertained as well. And I know I can be probably a bit difficult sometimes. I'm not naughty. I don't leave 1-star reviews, but I can, unless they deserve. But I can be really naughty sometimes and be like, oh, I really didn't like this, or talk to my friends like, oh, I didn't like this book. I didn't stand the hype. So you suddenly realize, oh, that might happen to me. And then you obviously think, well, of course it'll happen to me because I'm an idiot and a really bad writer. And that's when imposter syndrome kicks in. So yeah, I do think there's definitely that thing of further to fall as you climb up, and you just feel like you're just falling off a cliff at that point, as opposed to when you're quite low down. And also just that, what Stuart was saying about less and less people to talk to about it as such, because when you start in the querying pool, there's loads and loads of people. And then when you get agented, you feel a little bit like you've been removed from that pond and put in the next bigger pond. And even though obviously writers are great, and we have people in the hub that are like published and have several books out, all the way down to people who've just started writing, and everyone's really friendly. It's silly. It's all in your own head. But you do feel like, oh, I've been removed from that pond now, so I can't really talk to those guys anymore, because I'm really lucky to be here and I can't complain about it. So I'm going to have to find this smaller group of people that I don't even know to talk about this. You might join a group, or you might like have a group WhatsApp with all your agency siblings, something like that. And it definitely happens as you go along. Further to fall is like that horrible thing. It definitely feels worse. Although it's hard to compare a feeling, because obviously there are years in between each of these stages. So even if you're really lucky, so it's like, I think I felt bad before, but who knows? It was 10 years ago. So I definitely feel that.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because I've certainly felt that with just writing, with all aspects of your life. You chase something, and then when you get there, it's often not what you expect it to be. Yeah. And you just you immediately reset the goals and then chase after something else. And Melissa, I'm a big fan of Stephen Bartlett, who does the Diary of a CEO podcast, and he's very honest and candid about everything. But one of the things he always says is that you shouldn't base your happiness upon reaching or achieving a goal, because as soon as you achieve that goal, you'll then want something else,
Yeah.
and then you'll want something else, and so you'll never actually be happy.
Yeah.
If you base your happiness upon achieving goals. And he said that the key to happiness is to enjoy every single thing that you do each day, the little processes that you do in working towards that goal. You know, so for us as writers, that's when we sit down at the computer and we do an hour of writing or a couple hours of editing. That's the bit that we should be aiming for happiness with, rather than the, you know, the external uncontrollable goals that we all strive for, you know, over the, you know, like our 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goals, whatever. Those aren't the things that bring happiness. It's the everyday things.
Yeah. So it's success happiness then, I guess, isn't it? It's that, I think somebody said on one of the comments you read out, oh, success doesn't bring happiness, but it helps. But now I'm thinking, does it? Because maybe if success is, if we have to, it depends, success and happiness, are they matched, I guess, is the thing. Because you think of being successful will make you happy, but are they actually completely different things? Which maybe that's why. Yeah, I keep changing my mind during this conversation. This is interesting. I had like a totally different mindset when we started.
I do like the idea of enjoying the process. I think that's a good, like, and I think that helps, like, I think that's a whole life lesson, isn't it? Where you like focusing in on like little, like, oh gosh, sorry, my headphones, they fell out. Anyway, like focusing in on the little, and I think that's definitely, like, I'm trying to really enjoy the process of writing this book. Like, even just little things like what I do before writing it, like getting up and like doing some yoga and getting into the moment of it. And I'm just enjoying the little moments of like feeling like I'm in the writer zone and just trying to, you know, and that's actually more enjoyable for me at the moment, which is why my goal was to finish the book when you asked, because that's what's giving me the enjoyment, is that process. So that's a good, I like that. Enjoy the process.
Yeah, and then you're not thinking about the things that are out with your control.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. There's another comment which I thought was a really interesting one, and I thought it'd be a good one to sort of finish on from Hannah Gold, who you both know. She's done a few things with Write Mentor and so on.
Yeah.
Obviously won a number of awards in the last year as well. For her book. So she said, success is such an interesting topic and so subjective. It's measuring the small achievements just as much as the big ones, as we've said earlier on, but also been aware of the forever moving goalposts. Again, we've discussed that, but she said something at the end here which I'd like your views on. She said she's intrigued by success resistance too. So what stops us, and why do we sometimes hold ourselves back? And the reason I'm interested in this is because this is something I do a lot. I am a self-sabotager. I deliberately, for whatever reason, get in my own way with things. If something is going well, I will consciously try and stop it from going well. Or if someone gives me praise or says this is going really well, you've done well with this, I'll then immediately talk about all the negatives and emphasize those rather than the positives. And so, but it's interesting because that defines me. I think I'm a success resistance person. And so I just wondered what your views were on how does that happen to you, first of all, and then also why do people do that?
Yeah, I definitely do that. I think it's to do with what Florianne was saying about the further you get along, and then also adding in fear of failure, especially with writing. It's quite scary to put out, I put out a book with a great small publisher and then they had to close. And immediately I'm like, well, obviously they closed because I ruined them. It must have been my book. I obviously closed them down. And then there's this whole thing of having to explain to people what's happened, and they ask and they're genuinely interested, but especially people outside of writing, it's quite hard to understand what happened. And, I put it in my newsletter that I'm now self-publishing it. And that was really hard to get my head around. And I was getting in my own way for a little bit there. I considered just completely folding the book and not doing self-publishing, which is stupid and would have been really daft and pointless. It's already there. The whole product's there. It's really, what's great about self-publishing, it's really accessible. I'm not going to say it's easy because there's definitely bits which are not as easy, but it's very accessible. Like anyone can learn to do it. And I already had the whole product there anyway. So I really started on a much higher platform anyway than lots of other people are like lucky enough to start off on. So yeah, I definitely think that it's, for me, fear of failure and looking, again, it's that outside, what's the word, like other people validating my success. So I worry, will this look bad to other people? It's a bit like when you sign with a smaller publisher and it's not Penguin, but readers don't care what publisher you're with. They don't care. They don't even know. Like, I didn't know before I started publishing even who published any of the books on my shelves until I looked. I had no idea because I didn't care. But to you, you care. And then you think, well, other people look at this and think I'm not as successful. And I think actually what happened with The Undying Towers really helped me with that, because it's made me realize it doesn't matter. I'm just moving through my own thing, and I don't want to stand in my own way. And I pretend it's other people standing in my way, telling me I'm wrong, or I'm stupid, or I've done it wrong, or I've failed. But that's not true. First of all, who cares what they think, even if they think that? Second of all, they're probably not even thinking about you. That's like an egomaniac thing to think. They probably have their own stuff going on. And third of all, it doesn't matter if they are thinking about you and saying that, because you can just keep going and it's nothing to do with them. So yeah, I massively get that. But I think I've got better, especially with what's happened with The Undying Tower, and being able to move through that. Don't know. What about you, Florianne?
Yeah, I don't know if I self-sabotage. I don't know.
You're a good girl.
I'm a good, yeah, I don't know. It might be something I've done before. I definitely think Stuart's bad at it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Stuart's worse than me.
I do. You are like, yeah. I just think, I guess, in terms of, I've learned that, I keep doing this, sorry guys, everything, I'm dropping out.
Just really excitable.
I know. It just doesn't fit in my ear, clearly. Yeah, no, I think the thing with success that it's not really self-sabotage, but like learning that it was back to the point about success not being linear. I guess it's like learning that it's not linear, and that you can have a setback and then you think it's all over, and then like a few months down the line suddenly something else comes about. And I think that's a good like I think it's kind of, I mean, we were talking about the formula for success, that comment on the Twitter post, and I don't like saying like perseverance, because I do think that means that people stick on something that will not work for them, and they don't, I don't like the whole like, if you just keep at it you will get published, because that's a sort of not a very fair and
statistically it's just not true.
Yeah, it can't be possible. Imagine everyone who wants to publish. Yeah, it's just impossible, and it's just an unfair pressure. But I do think that it's perseverance in terms of being flexible and learning that, like, just because you had that failure that day doesn't mean that that's going to keep going. So I do think like there's two big things for me that like actual moments that I think have helped me not get the agent, but change my mindset in order for me to keep on. And that was opening up to other people reading my writing and joining a writing community, Write Mentor, shout out, and not just being isolated, like, because that was a big thing that I kept doing, and because I was so scared of people judging my writing and blah blah, so that was a big moment. And then the other moment was meeting with Catherine Core, who's a really lovely and successful author, and I had coffee with her because she's a friend of the family, in a weird way, and she told me like I was really fixed on this young adult book that I wrote, the first one I wrote, and it wasn't going anywhere, and she was like, you're gonna have to write something else, otherwise it's you're just going to keep flogging this dead horse. And that clicked something in my brain, and I wrote something else and then wrote something else, and it was that third thing that picked up the agent interest. So I think like being flexible and just knowing that if something's not happening and not working, to reevaluate and think, what can I do next to change my current like stagnation, I suppose. And that's been a learning process for me, because I was very I want to be a writer who doesn't talk to any writers, and I want to publish this first book that I've written, and that is just not. Those two moments, by these two separate like realizations, I think was a big turning point for me. So yeah, that was a thing that I was really bad at, and I've got better, definitely, not to be so like stubborn.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's interesting to hear, because obviously you both get quite different perspectives on it, and that's interesting to know. Okay, I think we're at 50 minutes now, so we'll wrap up the episode there. But thanks for your contributions, both of you. It's been really interesting to hear what you thought, and thank you to all the people who replied to the tweet as well. Sorry we didn't get to read out all of the responses from this particular tweet, but we've read through them all, and I think the majority of them echo the ones that we did read out. So hopefully you still got your opinion and your voice across in that way. So thanks for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.